We got a podcast for you.
Yes, we do. What's it called?
It's called the Hip Pause Podcast.
I love the Hip Pause Podcast.
Great name, you know.
It's every Tuesday, isn't it?
I think it's every Tuesday.
Damn. How do they do that?
Who's it with?
It's that one guy called David.
Oh, yeah, and that other guy called Iman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's them.
Those guys.
Those guys. Always telling us what's up every Tuesday.
Yeah.
So what do they do?
So, okay, we gotta stop with No, I couldn't keep it up.
Oh, damn, it was actually not that bad.
Yeah, I got too cringy towards the end there. Oh, geez. So, this is the podcast where we talk about a different YouTuber every week, unpack them, give a little bit of context. Where do they come from? What are they all about?
Yeah, and whilst covering just the industry and the category that they are in the YouTube space.
So this week is our second week of the film and TV category. And who are we covering, David?
They are called, or the channel is called, Cinema Sins.
Cinema Sins. So they're quite a big one, in fact.
Yeah,
what's the sub count on that?
7.5.
7.5 million?
Yeah.
How many was Rooster Teeth that we did last week?
They were 9.5, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Although Rooster Teeth has peaked from like 8 to 9.5 for quite a few years.
They're doing other things.
Yeah, they do other things.
But 7.5.
The complete opposite for this, because I remember subscribing to Cinema Sins maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Maybe 2.5.
Do you watch all the videos then?
Not so much. Like only movies that I care about, but we'll go into like I guess what they do. But I subscribed and they were on like 2 million.
Oh, really?
Not even kidding. I was like, yeah, it's a good channel, it's strong. I was like comparing it to like how we know this YouTuber called Video Game Donkey, and he was like on 2. I was like, yeah, they're on par. Then bam, but like before I knew it, they were growing, and now look at them. I keep saying them, but it's solely, primarily, maybe there's editing by other people, but it is just one guy, which I love about.
Are you sure it's just one guy? He's got a partner though, but it's one guy that does the voices, but he does have a partner who he started it with.
So yeah, he does. Like, there was a period actually where somebody else was doing the voices, but everyone kind of did not like that guy.
Whoa! I don't think. Are you sure that's right?
Yeah. Because
I thought that it was always this one guy doing the voices, but the other one has done a few occasional videos. But you're saying that they actually fully switched?
Yeah, there was a time where they switched. But I say like switched, but it was like 3 videos. Right. Okay, so maybe he basically did a few, pretty much. And there was like a massive dislike ratio. So then he came back. Yeah. Basically, they love this guy that we're talking about. I think his name is Jeremy. Just has a really good voice. It's nice to listen to. He has a very criticizing voice, which is what this channel is all about.
Exactly. So it's the 2 guys, Jeremy Scott and Chris Atkinson.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Scott is the one that does the voice.
Yeah, and definitely, because I know they once did a video on how they do it together, and they just like get a video, they cut it, they talk about it, and then they put what they're gonna say.
Oh, well, like how they made a video. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'd like to watch that.
Although it looks very simple, it's like literally like I grab it, Windows Movie Maker it, and just like add my subtitles.
Yeah. But the thing is, they're actually really funny guys. Yeah. They're actually really, they've got good humor, and they're quite smart about it. You know, it's done really well. So just to summarize what they do a bit, their main, pretty much, vastly the main source of their content is their actual Sins videos. Yeah, which is everything wrong with X movie
movie here.
In X number of minutes.
Yeah, so example, I guess maybe even go with my favorite, or one that I've watched maybe 3 times, is everything wrong with the Titanic in like 15 minutes or less.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine any movie you like, or in most cases don't like, because this channel will suit you if you don't like the movie as well. They kind of break it down, nitpick. Actually, like, nitpick sounds like a soft thing, like, oh, why did they do this? But they also cover like editing mistakes, or visual mistakes.
They know their movies as well,
definitely. So they know how the studio works.
They do nitpick, but they do it for comedic effect.
Yeah.
Get like the tiniest little things. But I do like that's what I mean when I say they're smart. Like they know their craft. Like they know about movies.
Definitely. And they go as far as like nitpicking like scenes like why is that person wearing this when in the last scene they weren't, which are very trivial, and then they'll go more in depth in the same manner for like plot holes in the movie or in the story.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the way that their videos put together, and not only are they funny, but they also often make you see things that
a lot different.
That's actually an interesting point. I watched one recently that was about the movie It.
Oh yeah, watched that as well.
And they made the point that have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
So they made the point that the scene towards the start of it. Where
spoilers.
Spoilers, there's a killer clown in the movie.
Whoa, I thought he was a friendly clown. The hell?
But there's a scene early in the movie where the killer clown gets like quite a bit of screen time where he's just speaking.
Yeah.
You know, it's just him speaking. He's not doing anything special to be scary. It's just the actor, Bill Skarsgård, being scary.
Yeah.
And they make the point that like they don't really do this a lot in the rest of the movie. It's more just jump scares, things like that. And it's actually like it made me think that that's actually a really interesting point because I came out of that movie kind of thinking, hey, I want more of that character.
Yeah, the creepy bit.
Yeah, so it's just like they can summarize things that are actually wrong with the movie as well as things that are just plain funny.
And that is actually a really good point as to like. They bring that out, and that's very surface level because the primary focus is for comedic purposes. But they do obviously have separate channels where they go in a lot more depth, where they would talk about probably the reason why they had to stick with jump scares is because we know this is going to sell in cinemas, and we want people to be frightened in their seats. So kind of do it this way, and then they go into more about how like.
Do they actually do one about?
I know on Jeremy's channel,
which is called.
I'm gonna say like I think it's just like Cinema Sins Jeremy or Cinema Jeremy, something like that.
Right.
It'll definitely be on their channels on the Cinema Sins channel. Like
check the description of this podcast and we'll link it.
Yeah, he's got like tons of like series. One of them like just Dear Hollywood. So he like talks about movie formulas, kind of the same way we talk about the YouTube formula, and it's just like kind of breaking it down as to why a lot of people you expect your movie to look like this, but because of pressures and money and the studios that are paying you to make the movie, you make decisions that the people don't really want, but it's just made business sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that kind of stuff is it's just because they actually know what they're talking about. So I read their kind of background.
Yeah.
And the two of them were working as managers in a cinema.
Perfect.
Exactly, right. And they started out with like a bunch of different channels. So actually, the channel that they started out with...
This I did not know.
So the channel they started out with was called the Cussing Channel. Right?
Yeah.
Great name. And literally all this channel was this is great, but all it was supercuts of movies. So, for example, their most viewed one, I think it's got about 8 million views, was Harry Potter, all the spells in all 8 movies.
Nice.
So, by the way, the channel only has about 200k subscribers, or it's got a few 100k subscribers. And so the Harry Potter one is it's literally just a long video, every single spell in the movie. There's nothing else to it.
It's just a lot of hard work done for you.
Yeah, exactly. And basically that's where they started out. That's how they started everything. They started with that channel, then they tried a few different other ones, actually.
Which is actually a common thing for YouTubers to like, the channel that's successful now may not have been the first one to get going.
Yeah, exactly. So they tried a few different ones, and they eventually did their first kind of their first Everything Wrong With video in X number of minutes.
Yeah, which, speaking of, in the earlier days, they used to do them really brief. They probably assume like YouTube was all about 2-minute videos, so they really rush it. Now, as we can see now, they go as high as 50 minutes. Maybe we could say for that mid-roll, as you would like to put it, or PewDiePie would like to
gotta get that mid-roll.
Gotta get that extra revenue.
Just on the time thing, I think they're too long now.
You think they're too long? For movies that I've actually watched and appreciate or really dislike, the longer the better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, okay, do you know what your most hated movie is? That just annoys the hell out of you. For whatever reason. Plot, just poorly done, a waste of your time you paid money in the cinema for. So for me...
Tricky.
For me, definitely Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, right.
Which is why it's got so many
Is that the live action?
The live action movie of the Dragon Ball cartoon.
Which everybody hates.
Everyone. It was almost like overly requested for CinemaSins to do it. And
really?
And credit to them. The moment they did it, the views they got instantly was incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a movie like that deserves it.
Exactly. So if he goes 20 minutes... I'm all for it.
I'll tell you what, one of my favourite videos of theirs, which I saw ages ago, is actually about a movie I love, The Matrix.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I love The Matrix.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah, that's a good question. How did it feel? Because he did Transformers 2, and I love Transformers 2. I don't like Transformers, the series, but the second one is, I love that movie. Really, and when he did it, it didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me. I was like, I'm happy he's pointing it out, but I still love the movie, and I love
exactly. It's the same with The Matrix. Yeah. Like, I love the movie. I know there's holes. I know there's things wrong with it. Which is probably
what makes it good.
It's just I don't care.
And he even sometimes says it in the intro. Like when he did Mad Max, he was like, "I love this movie."
Exactly.
But here are the sins.
Yeah. In fact, what they always do is they put their real thoughts in the description.
Yeah.
Of their videos. So if they actually like it, they will say that they actually liked it. Yeah. Basically, it's for comedy. Like they're not actually trying.
But obviously, the whole internet world is never gonna. Not everyone's gonna fully.
It's like they say in their Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video. They say we don't label it as a comedy channel because no one seems to be able to understand
exactly. The
understand comedy.
You can never have a video with 1,000 likes and no dislikes. There's always that one ignorant.
And then at the end, they're like, number of fanboys pissed off.
Yeah, exactly.
Infinity.
Yeah. If you haven't hit paused and quickly checked what CinemaSins do and have come back to this podcast, basically just imagine your everyday movie, and at every scene in which there's an issue, they have like a little sin counter in the top left corner, and it goes up with every time he points something out. There is no rules on that. Sometimes he'll add 10 if he's just pissed off. And sometimes he'll subtract it if it's a really good scene.
Yeah.
So like that's basically how CinemaSins works.
I like it when they do that. But back to their first channel, the cussing channel.
Yeah.
I said that obviously they just did the supercuts of things. It's so interesting because there's been a trend recently with memes, basically, that are doing supercuts of things. So, like, every swear word in Thingy.
Yeah.
Or or the B movie, but every time they say B, it speeds up. Stuff like that, where it's kind of, they take a whole movie and just cut it, I don't know, do something to it based on like a really specific thing. And they almost, what they were doing with Cussing Channel was almost like a precursor to all of that. It was like a similar vibe, but just ages ago.
You could see the progress or the evolution of it.
That was back in like 2010.
Do they not do anything on that channel anymore?
No. It's completely dead. I mean, it's only got about 10 videos on it even.
I see.
And 100 odd K subscribers, a few hundred. But I mean, it's just cool kind of to see where they started out. Yeah,
and I love channels like this that stay true to what they were doing from the start.
The titles of the videos are still exactly the same.
It's the same format, same thumbnails. Yeah. You can't clickbait that.
They're doing the exact same thing. They're doing it longer, but same thing. They just have got other stuff they also do now.
Exactly.
So do you want to go through like a few of the other bits that they've kind of do?
Yeah. Actually, one quick thing. So you know how I spoke about the Titanic one? So one other cool thing that they do in their videos is after they've counted up all the sins, they do a little outro, and outros are sometimes different. They'll just show the movie, but then put a different audio on top of it that they think fits. So for the Titanic one, they pointed out how many times the name Jack or Rose was said.
Oh, yeah.
Usually by each other. Now, do you want to guess how many times? And think of it as you were the writer for that movie. You think after a while, you'd be like, hey, maybe I'm writing this name too many times.
Oh, you've just given me a hint. That's a hint. And now I know it's a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. If it was 2 or 3, I wouldn't even bother.
I was about to be like, maybe it's only 5 times. But then you said that, and now I know. I'm going to say it must be... It's got to be something shocking.
It's not like 1,000. It's not enough words.
It's got to be like, I don't know, 200 times.
170.
Oh, not bad.
That is a lot. Like, just think about it. Like, every quote or dialogue is like Jack, comma, then the sentence.
But I guess
I know they talk to each other a lot, but then it's also like, I don't know about you, but do you always say your friend's name when you're talking to them? Not really.
I know, but I would like to see what the count is on other movies.
Fair.
Okay, because if you cut from one scene to the next, it would be weird if I was like, one scene I was like, hey David, and then the next scene I was like, as if we'd already been talking, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I get you. But then one would assume on a boat, how many days were there? Like, we were probably just talking to each other.
Yeah. You literally just left the room 30 seconds ago.
Do you have a problem with memory?
But yes. I bet it's that high for a lot of movies.
Yeah, but then in other movies though, like, probably there's a longer duration. But you're right. Yeah. Maybe it is a nitpick at the end of the day, but it's just funny to me.
It's still funny. Don't get me wrong.
So yeah.
So they have the Jeremy channel where he talks about so it's actually called Cinema Sins Jerry, and that Jeremy, and that's where he talks about the industry stuff. Is it actually interesting, by the way, that channel?
Or is it if you are into knowing like a bit more than just like the surface level, like, oh, you make a movie and you put this budget and this box office comes. It's a lot more that it kind of goes into.
So you kind of have to be like, or into movies for
or at least curious about kind of like people who probably listen to us. You don't just want to know like who's the YouTuber who's trending. This channel kind of tells you like how they started. So it's a little more in depth. You don't have to be like a movie nut. But
I could see watching a couple of those kind of videos. So I meant to say it earlier, but how they put out about 2 videos a week. And they've done that forever. I was reading about it. Like they've done 2 videos a week. I mean, wow. How much time does this take? Like they've got to watch new movies every week.
And where I credit them the most is when they cover movies that are maybe from a book, so they have to talk about it in a way that they're not ignorant that the book existed. So like, because they don't want to get those comments like, oh, you just don't understand because you didn't do that. So they do that. And if it's like freaking Fast and Furious 7, you're going to have to talk about all the other Fast and Furious, or maybe not in that case, maybe Harry Potter.
I mean, I definitely get the idea that they watch lot of movies. It's not just the movie. And where do they get the time for all that and writing the scripts? I mean, it's that.
It is what it does. Like, if you go crazy, you could probably give yourself 2 weeks off. But at the same time, it's that question: do they even enjoy watching movies anymore?
Well, that's an interesting thing, actually, because the reason they started out was obviously, like I said, they were managers at a cinema, but they were both huge film buffs. And I just don't feel like something like that goes away, because film is such a kind of deep medium. It's like saying, I'm an artist and I've gotten bored of art.
Sure. Or even like down to earth, like a gamer on Twitch probably still enjoys playing the games when they're not being recorded.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think they must. Actually, having said that, because they do these videos all the time, are they just watching every movie, just thinking in their head like,
yeah,
exactly. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's dodgy.
I would have done that.
Like, man, that would get annoying.
Yeah, imagine if we had an alternative podcast where we nitpick other podcasts.
Yeah.
It's like we can't even enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we just do everything wrong with it.
Exactly. It's like when you study a book at school and then just it's killed.
Which actually, speaking of, you have watched Night at the Museum.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so
the world wants to know.
Yeah. Okay, so
tell them what I'm ashamed to tell.
My I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. My friend and I once watched Night at the Museum 3 20 times, or once a week for 20 weeks. And I gotta say, it was some of the best weeks of my life.
Has Cinema Sins covered that movie? That would be freaking...
Now, that I've got to see that. Because by the end of that, every tiny thing knew about.
Insert quotes here.
Actually, I've got to say, I'm not as good at quotes anymore as I once was. In fact, we've got to host another viewing party, to be honest.
Yeah. In fairness, you did get me watching it, and it's a good movie.
It is. It's a good movie. Exactly.
Fun for the family.
Exactly. And tell you what, it only gets funnier with 20 viewings. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, so, you know.
I wish I actually remembered the Ask Me Anything that Jeremy did, because I'm pretty sure someone asked how many times do you watch it before you cover a video on it.
Oh, really?
It's obviously more than once, but I just hope it's not like 6, just so that, because I can imagine, especially with the world that we live in now, 2018 is a world of like criticism online.
Yeah.
If you get even one of the like 100 sins you call out, and they're like, that's not a sin, that makes sense, you just don't get it, you're the idiot, and all of a sudden people don't respect you. So I can imagine what they go through to double check that they're right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They watch it a lot.
You'd have to. You'd really have to.
Behind the scenes of work that they do.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got to be honest with this channel. Like I said, I think the videos are a bit too long for me.
Yeah,
and I get a bit.
But you can treat it like how we've always said, like in the podcast with Total Biscuit. Some people have long videos that are like 45 minutes. Maybe it's one of those you gotta like pause and watch later. But I get what you mean. Like to just consume it.
Exactly.
Nice if it was a bit shorter.
I just I'll dip in for maybe a few minutes, max 5, and then I'm done. Like I get it. After that point,
Yeah.
I was watching that It one. I watched it about maybe 5 minutes, and I like that movie a lot, and I've watched it relatively recently. So, meh. It's like, so it's not a channel I would actually actively follow and watch, but I might watch the occasional one.
Yeah,
if it's a movie I like.
Basically, I'm subscribed to only watch videos on movies that I've seen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I've tried actually watching it for stuff I haven't seen. It actually kind of helps knowing what the movie's like 50 Shades of Grey, for example.
Yeah.
What he covered was enough for me to know what the movie was like.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, their most popular videos, or I guess videos that do well, are usually the videos that are just popular in general. So
things like Frozen.
Exactly. So it's like kind of weird to say, is it that the talent is on them, or is it because it trended because the movie was popular?
Well, I mean, that's the bonus of their content.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because whenever a new movie comes out, like, boom, get a video, ride that trend.
Although there is a rule about it, though. Obviously, he has to wait till it's on DVD, I believe.
Oh,
so
really?
If a movie comes out, there's no way he's allowed to put it online. I think maybe till it's out of cinema / on DVD.
Okay, so that's the other thing I was wondering about is how does the copyright work?
Yeah, there's the long. He don't really cover it. I think
maybe they just have all of the necessary legal stuff in place to say like, look, we're a satire channel. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I don't think that's because there's laws on if put together, it tells the movie, then you've stopped people watching the movie. That's definitely a thing. But I think...
They do say spoilers at the start.
That's true. Oh, yeah, that's true. They haven't changed that. But I think the way I was told that they get away with it, this is just the comment section, but it got a lot of likes, is the way they kind of fast forward the scenes and make sure every time they show a clip, it's within the fair use. Then they make sure that the next clip they show either is in slow motion so that it's not matched with the clip before. Like, there's a lot of... Basically, I feel like some of the editing helps them.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Rather than the complete law.
Even with that, on a 15-minute video, there's still surely is going to be enough to be copyrighted.
Yeah. Not, unless maybe it's all copyrighted, but it's a shared monetization. Which is an option.
Yeah.
But then it's only an option if the studio, company, whatever, agrees to it.
Because they don't really have other ways of making money. Like, they don't really do merch or anything like that, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they have a t-shirt here and there.
Exactly. By the way, I quite like their logo. Pretty cool. Yeah. It's actually pretty cool. Like, the kind of pitchfork M thing. Yeah,
simple, tells the story.
Simple, exactly. But yeah, overall, I think it's a good channel. Like, it's done well.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at their about page. They even have a Cinema Sins hotline to narrate your own sins.
Nice.
That's pretty awesome, actually. I wonder if that's a real thing. It's an American phone number though, so screw us Brits.
Yeah, we're not getting anywhere. If I do find maybe a link to an article or a comment, or I'll just copy and paste it and reference the guy on how they get away with copyright, I'll definitely put it in the description. But it is definitely, I am very curious.
Yeah, exactly. As they say, no movie is without sin.
And no podcast is without a hit.
And a pause.
I forgot about the pause.
All right, that's it for this week.
Yep.
Tune in next week
we'll cover a new category. Spoilers, so we're not going to tell you.
Exactly.
Just look forward to it every Tuesday.
Bye.
See ya.